And
all right, welcome everybody. We are live. We're hanging out with Marques Ogden today. We're fired up. How we doing? How we doing, Marques? How we doing, Jake?
Oh, well, Mike, I'm doing well. Jake, how y'all doing today, fellas?
man, it's a great day to be alive, man. Mike's been prepping me for this one for a while. So I'm like really excited about this. We talked about it before we started recording. I've got like a question I wanted answered. I'm excited about where we're going with it today, man. This is going to be huge for our audience. Just like, yeah, I can't even prep it up enough. I'm just stoked, man.
So, thanks for having me on, fellas. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here, Marques. I'm going to take a minute before we get you going on who you are and what you do. Let's ask you a quick question here, Marques. So why don't you teach us something, and then we'll talk about who you are and what you've done. This way it'll give you, let's lead with that, because once people figure out who you are and what you've done, this advice is going to just come crashing down on them. So if you had to teach somebody something right now today to our community, right? These are our members, these are our subscribers. What's the lesson you'd like to come across today?
I want them to become the person that can thrive no matter what life throws their way. Okay? Becoming that person means that when life knocks you down, when life throws you hardships, curveballs, hard times, disappointments, whatever you want to call it, right, Mike? Right, Jake? You are ready to face it head on, thrive, and not let life get the best of you. Now, overcoming is not a bad thing, right? But I feel you have to continuously re-energize yourself, charge yourself up, get psyched up. And what happens is if there's times where you're tired or feeling like, less energy or feeling deflated or maybe a little bit defeated, then trying to overcome can be difficult to get charged up. So I want you to become that person that understands how to thrive no matter what life throws their way.
Cool. Well, let's go over the steps here in a minute. But so we're going to go over that, but and judging from your journey. So why don't you walk us down, Marques Ogden, what it is that you do, who are you, where are you from, what are you doing? Let's go.
So I am a national, international keynote speaker, executive coach, best-selling author. I'm a podcaster. I have a podcast called Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. I'm also a brand ambassador. I have different businesses that I align with. Their values align with our values. I'm also a former NFL athlete. My brother Jonathan was drafted by the Ravens in 1996. I played 6 years in the National Football League, drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Great experience. I'm from Washington, D.C. originally. I now live in a little bitty town called Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. It's about half hour outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, which is our state's capital. And I love being a dad. I love being an individual who gives back to others. I love trying to help people move forward to become the best versions of themselves.
Awesome. Jake, do you have any questions for Marques today?
So many. I've got an obvious one that I'm going to get to that, but that's about me, right? That's just about me. But I don't think it is. Like this is probably one of those moments in your career that you can spin off on this of talking about that calm, being that person when life throws things at you, good, bad, or indifferent. So you had a moment that we were talking about that by all reckoning is an epic moment. People will sit and watch the NFL draft. I mean, there's a huge piece around this. You got drafted. You were part of that situation. And when you got drafted, you called your brother. So like, how in the hell do you stay calm? I'd have come unglued, passed out. They'd had to carry me out of there. Like, how do you stay calm? And what was it like? How did you stay composed in that moment of I belong here?
It's interesting, right, Jake? So I was at my brother's home in Baltimore, and he was at his house in Las Vegas, and I had my entire family around me at that time. My father, my mother, my grandparents, a couple of friends, and actually Jonathan had a teammate staying there at his house as well during the off season. So when I got drafted and I saw my name come across the screen as the Jacksonville Jaguars selection, I remember calling my brother, chatting with him. I remember getting a phone call from the Jaguars front office and had all these reporters that were talking to me about welcome to Jacksonville and how does it feel and you're now with your brother and da 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 da. And I remember after I got off the phone, sitting outside with my dad talking about life and how this all happened, where this all came about. Because again, I tell everybody, I only had one scholarship offer to play college football. That's it. Howard University gave me an opportunity when no one else did. I will always be grateful to Howard for that. I remember talking to him and walking inside, and I was crying a little bit. I had a little tear in my eye, and my grandmother looked at me, and she said, "Marques, what are you doing? No time to cry. No time for this. Time to go to work." And I was like, wow. Grandmother put me in my place. And I was like, you know what, Grandmommy? You're right. It is time to go to work. And I left the next day for Jacksonville, got down there. And honestly, when I went down there, I got an apartment after the first OTA. I didn't really come back home that much. I think I came home for like a couple of days here or there to spend. I stayed with my dad or I stayed with my grandparents or whatever the case may be. Because I was fully immersing myself into becoming a professional athlete by going to all the workouts, doing all the running, meeting people in the community. I mean, I had never, ever, fellas, paid a bill before. I had never had any responsibility. I didn't really make any money because in college I couldn't have a job. I mean, so I had to learn how to get an apartment, buy a new car. I had to pay for insurance. I had to get a cell phone. I mean, I had to do all these things. So I was literally, my head was spinning 1,000 miles an hour. But again, once I got there and I got into the Jaguar facility and into the stadium, everything else just went away.
Yeah, the simple statement, like, get to work.
And my grandma said it best, like, no time to cry, time to go to work.
That's amazing, man. I can't even comprehend it, like what that emotionally would have been that moment. That's amazing.
Oh, it was amazing. It was everything because, like I said, to go from thinking that you were going to be done playing football after high school, getting a full scholarship to Howard University, saying, "Oh, if I play a year or two, that's awesome. That's great." Becoming a 4-year starter and becoming the first and still to date the only offensive lineman ever drafted from Howard University. That's who I am.
That's incredible. And Howard University's got a ton of great athletes. It's a good school. It's a great program. I happen to know it well, being from that area. It's fantastic. And wow, and let me just highlight something that we kind of glazed over. Everyone sort of thinks like, oh, you get drafted and all of a sudden the world opens up and everything just sort of magically happens and you're sort of living in this posh lifestyle and you've got cars and money and it's just you're playing sports and everything's great. Man, you just were like, I had to get a phone, I had to get an apartment, I had to get some education around all this stuff. I had to figure this out. I relocated. I'm in a new town. I mean, think about that for a second. The power to relocate. If I took you today, dropped you off somewhere, how unsettling that must be, especially as a young man, and then having to plug into an environment with all these, I realized at the time you're on par with the size of these guys, but it's an intimidating environment. I've had the pleasure of working in some professional sports on the sidelines and stuff, and it's intimidating. It's not an easy environment. It's a lot of big, strong, really capable people that were gladiators to get where they had to get to. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. And then you put the personal side on top of that. I can't even imagine the lessons that you and your coaching must sort of must open up.
Oh yeah, I mean a ton, right, Mike? You learn about discipline, you learn about how to adapt, you learn about how to pivot. I mean, training camp, right? Training camp today is not what it was 20 years ago, right? We were hitting every single day, sometimes twice a day, right? There weren't the rules in place like there are now, right? They're not. They just wasn't. So we were hitting constantly in the heat out there all the time. There was no restriction. You could be double pads however you want. Like coaches could run it however they wanted. And you know what? You had very little time to recover. Very little. So again, it's something that people have to understand. You know, when you're trying to get adjusted to a new environment, then you have the guys that you're playing with that have been there before. They're already settled to a certain degree. You don't really know a lot about the playbook. You don't really know about the offense. You really know a lot about how the play's called. You don't really know your coaches that well. It's a lot, right? It's stressful. It's a lot on your body, trying to adjust. And then fans expect you to become this gladiator at the top of your game right away, like you were in college. And that's not realistic because you're playing against grown men that have been doing it for a lot longer than you have. So there plays a lot of factors into it. So when I coach people, I talk about how to make adjustments, how to have a strategic plan, how to have a tactical plan, how to pivot, how to adjust, how to really figure out what it is that you're trying to do in your career. What do your clients need? How are you going to help them no longer be hungry and figure out what their problem is and solve it? A lot of those things that I do now in my work as a speaker, a coach, a trainer, a consultant, I learned a lot of that in the National Football League from great coaches like Jack Del Rio, to Brian Billick, to Mike Malarkey, to Jeff Fisher, to great owners I was around like Wayne Weaver, they own 9 West Shoe. Steve Bisciotti still owns Ravens to this day. Bud Adams was a huge oil tycoon. Ralph Wilson was a huge real estate tycoon and crushed it. And like all these great owners, coaches, players taught me so much that I now blend into coaching, speaking, training, and consulting, and also using it to help other businesses advance in their respective industries.
Well, see, that's something I find. We know it's true. Like Mike and I come from this space, right? We come from this executive coaching space, and you do as well. And what I find absolutely awesome, I don't want to use the word interesting, even though it is to me, but people get sick of me saying that word. What I find absolutely incredible in this is the lessons taken from professional athletics, from the NFL, are translating directly into what business leaders need now. These tycoons now, these executives, where they are, they're the same lessons. And Mike and I talk about this all the time. You know, people are looking for new, they're looking for shiny, they're looking for, you know, what's the next best thing? And yet, look at your career. You know, this is where you can go back to this of, you know, what's the thing you're going to teach everybody today? It's still the foundational things that we had to do, that we had to learn, that we had to get amazing at. And you can look at how the lessons from the NFL are transitioning directly into executive and corporate leadership right now, entrepreneurship. So I love I love how close it is. I love the proximity and the fact that translates for you. So talk to us a little bit more about how to stay calm. Like in those moments, you had a lot of huge transitions. That was one. You got dropped, like Mike said. You got dropped off, basically. Now you got to get an apartment and a cell phone and learn to do all the things and get out there being basically a broke professional athlete. That would break a lot of people. That would break them, absolutely destroy them. How'd you keep it together? What'd you do?
So what I always remembered more than anything is why I was there and what got me there. And it was my hunger and desire to be the best and do my best in anything that I did. And I said, well, you're now playing football. It's now a job. So go out and be the best and do the best and do your best. And here's the whole thing. What I realize now more than ever is that every time in my life where I have just taken a step back and not tried to do everything all at once, things get done. It may take longer than you realize, but it will get done. So if you're in business right now and it's rapid fire, or you're struggling, or things are happening in the economy, like you know and I know we have an election coming up, like all these things you can't control, you have to take a step back and say, well, what can you control? You can control your mindset. You can control trying to reach out to people. You can control trying to improve your techniques to do more sales, get more in front of more people. You can't control that, right? And what we do at our company is we understand that it's not going to happen overnight. It's like it's been doing this for years and years and years. And I remembered that playing football, that I'm at this point of wanting to do something that I'm able to do at a high level. And now it's time to give it everything that I have, but it has to happen one step at a time. If I try to worry about being the strongest guy in the rookie class when I have guys on my team like my boy Vince, man, who was benching probably 450 pounds, coming out of Hawaii, that was unrealistic. If I was going to try to have as much experience as guys on my O-line like Maurice Williams or Chris Naoli, that's not going to work. I'm going to try to go up against guys like Hugh Douglas, try to use like crafty veteran moves. I'm a real green rookie against a 15-year vet. That's not going to work. So I had to figure out what worked for me. And it took me to say one step at a time. Okay, you're going to go against Hugh Douglas? Great. He's this tight. He's this size. He's probably going to go do this. Okay, study film. Okay, he's probably going to come off slow, pick up fast, try to bull to rip to get underneath you. Great. Get a good set. Get a good angle, be patient, don't overset them, let them go around you, push them by, keep firm, don't do anything crass. Same thing in business, right? Trying to grow to the next level, do everything systematically, get systems in place. Don't try to jump from here to there or here to there, go here to here, step to step, step by step. I mean, I never saw that sitcom back in the day, sitcom, Step by Step. That's a great name because you can't get to, it's not going to go from A to Z. You got to go A to B, B to C. Same thing in business, same thing in life. Just don't get so caught up in the whole big picture that you don't take a look at the snapshots to move from one part of your life to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Did we lose Jake on audio? Can you hear him, Marcus? We lost Jake on audio.
Here we are. Now I'm back to life. Now I'm back.
I'll be happy to take
Most
over.
people are happy with my mic being muted. Yeah, just sometimes it's that way. Like I love. There's nothing I didn't love about that. And like I was laughing really hard at one point because like even today, I was having some things that I was working on that I was trying to jump way ahead. I was trying to work an MNOP somewhere, and I needed to be working at D. Like even today, and we know this, like how frequently we have to remind ourselves to. So super grateful for that. That's totally true. Mike, what do you got for Marcus, man? Keep us going here.
So, I mean, I like the step-by-step. I like the process-driven stuff. You had talked about let's talk about what we opened with here. You said you want to teach people how to become invincible. Can we go over a micro lesson on that today? I don't want to take too much of your time, but I would like if you could give our group here just maybe 3 steps, 4, 5, 3, 1, you pick. And then I have a couple more questions for you. I don't want to keep you all day, but school us, man. How do you become this invincible person? I mean, you have to be invincible in the NFL. You mentioned something about recovery. You mentioned something about hitting a lot. You mentioned something about playbooks. You talked a lot. It's just you're speaking business language, you're speaking life language, and you're speaking football at the same time. Enlighten us, Marcus. Please.
Sure. So in order to create the become mindset, right, where no matter what happens, you're ready to thrive no matter what, 3 things: focus, lock in, attack, focus. Figure out what you are hungry for. What is the hunger that's driving you to get what you want? As Les Brown said in a workshop a couple weeks ago, hunger is the driving force of life. When you understand what you really want and you're hungry for it, you have a burning desire to go and get it, you have to then focus on that. You got to get yourself into a position where you're focused and understand what it is that you're either hungry for, what you have a hunger for to go and get, or what you really want to get done with your life, right? So that's the focus part. Lock in. So once you understand and you put out all the noise, put out all the stuff, you can then say, okay, well, here's my quote unquote target. Now lock in on it. Like me, in the last probably 7 months, I've lost about 30 pounds. I started running 6-7 months ago, and 2 days on, 1 off. Then I'm now at 3 on, 1 off. And I started this really hard workout about 6 weeks ago. I'm actually halfway through week 6. Deadlifting again, Roman deadlift, the snatches, cleans, you name it, like all this type of stuff. But it's because I'm trying to get my body, which is working in a stressful situation, and I'm locking in on what I want, which is to feel better, look better. I'm on stage a lot. I do great podcasts like this a lot. So I locked in on that target, right? In business or in life, when you know what you want, lock in on it, right? Get that laser locked in, like you have a scope, and like, boom, that's what you're going to be going for. And then attack, right? It's all about taking the action. It's all about doing the work. It's all about not just being strategic, but being tactical, knowing what you want to get done and moving towards it. Knowing it is not enough. Like I tell everybody, knowledge is power, but applying knowledge is life-changing, right? If you want to be great, you have to actually get up, get in the game, and get on the field, right? You got to get in the game. You can't sit back and say, oh, I want this, but I'm not going to willing to do that, right? I mean, I can't say, okay, I want to lose 30 pounds and then not run or go to Chick-fil-A or go to Krispy Kreme or eat Ben and Jerry. It doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. I mean, like this week, it's Monday, Tuesday, I got there, I could sleep in, I could do a maintenance workout on Monday. I was like, no, you have your schedule. Hard workout Monday, hard workout Tuesday, you're off Wednesday, big boy. Hard workout Thursday, hard workout Friday. Do your maintenance looking for the, curls for the girls on Saturday. That's what it is. Sunday off. You know this. And that's what it is. So I attacked, got up out of bed, did my mile run, got there, worked out, came home, boom. So if you want to become invincible, right? If you want to become the person that can thrive through anything, focus on what you want. Once you know what you want, lock in on it like your target, like a scope, and then attack. Don't wait, right? Great book I'm reading, the ox cart technique. Emotion, not knowledge, is the driver of all action. Get up, get after it, get in the game. You can't win the game unless you play.
Yeah, that 100%. Emotion is the driver of action. Totally true.
Well, so Marques, I mean, I like this focus, lock in, and attack. So let me go down some of these rabbit holes with you. All right, so I'm focused, right? What happens if I lose focus? How do I regain it?
If you lose your focus, remember your why, but also remember who you're doing it for, right? Yourself, your family, your legacy, whatever the case may be. We won the Civil War, the Union, back in the 1860s because Abraham Lincoln, who had lost focus, got refocused and went to deliver the Gettysburg Address when his wife, loving wife, she didn't do anything wrong, didn't want her husband to get on the train to go because their son had contracted the cholera, like the fever, which their other son the year before died from. And Mary Todd said, Abraham, please don't go to Gettysburg. We need you here. Our son is sick. We lost our other son, and I'm afraid we might lose this one. And he said, Mary Todd, I have to go. I finally got my focus back on how to win this war, and it's getting people rallied up with this Gettysburg Address. If I don't give this address, we are going to lose the war. And the union of preservation of freedom and equality will die with me not going to do this. So I got refocused. I need to do this. He went, he did it. His son got better. But unfortunately, his African-American aide, who was, I forget his name, who was like his best friend on the trip, he got sick. He got the fever. Abraham got it. Abraham survived. One of his best friends died from going to Gettysburg. So his friend passed away. He survived. His son recovered. And we all know what happened after the war was won. Unfortunately, he was tragically assassinated. But again, that's how he refocused, gave the speech. They won the war.
Wow. I always like those lessons from history. I love them. I don't. You guys hearing that mic? Where's that coming from?
Originally, we thought it was mine, but it's not mine. It just comes up now and again.
All right. So I like the history, man. I think that if people don't look back, they can't look ahead. I think, when coaches like yourself, Marques, and experienced people like yourself have take the time to go back and cite those addresses, that's a real world, low tech. Nobody can call that in. You can't Zoom that like we are today. You actually have to get off your ass and go there, sit your ass down. Not only is it tough to get to Gettysburg, you actually have to go do things. Nothing was ever easy back then. So that level of just push to me is incredible. And to just bring that example up on focus. So, all right, let's go down to number 2, right? I'm locked in. What if I'm too locked in that I get too much tunnel vision? Is there such a thing where I can have too much tunnel vision? Can I be too locked in, or can I be not locked in enough? I mean, I guess I could be not locked in enough, but where's the gas pedal there?
So you want to lock in on what you want, but you also have to be willing to hear people that you trust to make sure that what you're locking in on is for the betterment of you, the organization, the brand, whatever the case may be. So you can never be locked in enough, quote unquote, but you can be so locked in that you have that's your ears shut off and you don't listen to anybody. And that's dangerous. That's when you become an egomaniac, right? So like me, I got locked in on the target of building an 8-figure a year business. I hit it. And because of that success, it caused me to be an egotistical maniac that stopped listening to people. And because I stopped listening to people, my focus started to kind of get a little bit more blurry, off the wagon. And then when my best people were gone, boom, that was it, right? So you can't, quote unquote, get up locked. Like you should have that target. Like you should know what you want, but don't be so locked in that you can't listen or you can't hear or you can't see another perspective. Because once that happens, what's that song by Kenny Loggins, The Danger Zone? The danger zone is literally you're either in it or you're about to go into it. And again, can you survive? Sure you can, right? I mean, I didn't. I mean, I lost something and I don't have to bounce back. Can you survive that? Sure. But why put yourself in harm's way if you don't have to?
And I just got to make a clarity statement for the audience. I asked Marques what he wanted to talk about today, and that's it. So what you're hearing from Marques is pure experience, not rehearsal. Okay, I just want everyone to clarify that. Marques is a real person doing real things in the coaching world. These are really thoughtful and extemporaneous, natural responses. This is not a scripted interview whatsoever. This is me firing off some questions, Marques responding to them. So does not get more authentic than what we're hearing today, just for clarity's sake.
I think being really focused to reiterate that again, because it's incredibly critical. The ability to take the feedback, and we've talked about this before. We talked about this, I think, on the last conference. We talked about never get too big that you wouldn't be the one that would also move the chairs, right? Never get too big that you wouldn't be the person that, opens a door for somebody. Never get too big that you wouldn't be the person that would go, let me go get you some water or whatever. And that's that space where Marques is talking about, from the feedback of, lock in. You've got a very specific goal. I'm traveling down this road, and be willing to take the feedback of those who can keep you going forward. And he made the point of, he got too locked in. He stopped listening, and that put a lid on his business at that moment. We've seen it. We have seen it as coaches. We've all seen this occur before. So that knowledge of being able to take the critical feedback and go, yep, you're right. This is what I need to adjust. Take the coaching. No different than when you were in college. I mean, you were a 4-year starter. You had to do 4 years of work to get invited to the show, but then the work started. You made the point of that space. So you were able to take the feedback moving forward into that. So do we all hit those speed bumps? Yep, sure do. Every single person. If you're saying, I've never hit that speed bump before, you aren't trying hard enough, or you're lying. That's how I feel about that. So the fact that Marques is saying, lock in, and I love the analogy of locking in. And as he thinks about that as an individual player, that's perfect in the analogy. But being able to take the feedback and just understand that, I love that model.
If you can't take feedback as a leader, then people will stop giving you feedback. And the minute that happens, you're done. Like I tell my team, there's nothing you can't tell me, right? I've had team members of mine that work for us, that I serve as a leader, fire me from certain tasks. Like I can't post Instagram stories anymore. Or, okay, Marques, I can get this to you. It's not going to be today because I have other things on the plate. That's what we do. And I'm like, you know what? I can't ask people to speak up and then get mad when they do. That's just not how it works. I said, okay, gotcha. And I just, follow suit. I'm looking to hire another person to come on to help with outreach and cold calling. They're going to go through the system, work with our team. As they do their job, they tell me how it's get done. The longer they stay with me, the more I get to know them, the more I give them trust. I'll get out of their way. And that's how it has to happen. If you can't trust people, or you don't want to take feedback from people, they will stop talking to you eventually.
That is what people do not realize, Marques. Not everybody's just going to follow you. I mean, not everybody's just going to blindly, because you're doing some great stuff. Eventually, you'll lose your audience, and you'll lose your team, so to speak. Which kind of brings me to my next question on the attack front. And I realize, like, when you play football, and this is all relevant because you're a football player and you're a business guy and you're a coach, right? In football, the field of view is very limited because, there's this much space, right? Looking out of your helmet. There's a bunch of other big people in front of you. Things are happening all around you. There's a lot of trust being built everywhere because the person behind you is doing their job, throwing the ball, running the ball, catching a pass. The other person to your right and left's doing stuff. When you're on that field and you're attacking as an individual and you're attacking as a team, like, can you give a couple of ideas about when's a good idea in business to rely on team, to bring in team, to help, how to get people on board with the same mission on the attack, literally the tactical do, because I find that most people get lost in the attack portion of the whole plan. We can talk all day, we can strategize all day, but literally we all get really lost sometimes when we're just out here and it's 8 a.m. or it's 3 p.m. or it's 5 o'clock and we're trying to attack, but we're just sort of spinning wheels. Any insights there?
So what you need to do is, if you're a solopreneur starting out, right, you need to build up enough things to do in your business, work as hard as you can in your business. And then when you start to see the majority of your day getting spent in what we call non-money generating activities, back office work, administrative work, paperwork, this or that, right? It's time to hire a virtual assistant. I tell everybody that's the first big hire. I tell people because you want someone to delegate the stuff on your plate to. If you hire somebody to come in for you as a salesperson or an employee or whatever, but you're so freaking busy with all your day, right? How can you train somebody? And then if people aren't getting trained properly, what happens? The attack portion stalls. Why? Either they don't know what's going on, or you're too busy, or you're too stressed out, or dot, 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 dot. So I tell everybody, the first thing you need to do to attack properly is find someone you can delegate things to move things off your plate. I just had a call with this today, first call of a new coaching client. She is a high up executive. She owns her own insurance company. She sits on the board of the largest organization called NAIFA, National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. She's on their board. She's a big deal, and she's awesome. She said, Marques, best coaching call ever. She said, I have too many things going on, and that's why we realized her hiring people to come into her business. It's not that they're not great. It's not that she's a bad person, but she didn't have time to train those people. There was a disconnect, and nothing happened. I said, you need to get somebody to get things that you need off your plate done. Once you have some more time, you can bring somebody else in, and then you can train them, right? Awesome. As that person has success and they're doing things, they could bring somebody else in under them to help them, right? And that's how you build. That's what we did. I had my person, Dawn, who came in as my everything. Internal manager, a website, photos, you name it, Dawn did it. As we got a little bit more capital built up, we agreed next move is a website SEO person because Dawn was struggling. Got it. George, so this Dawn's still with me. George is still with me. Boom. George is doing great. We built up some things, built up a couple of things. I said, man, I'm getting busy again, Dawn. You know what, Marques? It's time for a VA. Brought in Jaslyn. Awesome, right? Man, doing these events, videos, photos. Dawn said, Marques, I can't film. I'm struggling. I don't know how to use it. Like, I can do some photos here, but I don't know how to do video and edit it. No problem. Let's find a videographer, photographer. Up comes Donovan. Joined us, right? Hey, Marques, we're trying to do these speeches and we don't know how to write this or own that or IP this. Here comes Albert, right? So it's everything, right? The first thing you need as a leader to move things off your plate. If you start seeing you're doing more non-money generating activities, it's time for you to get that off your plate. And then as you can get back to what makes money, you can then pay for that help. And then you can build out from there. Action stalls when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we feel, again, that's how we're bringing another person right now. Like, we're looking for a straight cold calling person to get us more speaking opportunities, coaching, consulting, book more appointments. Can I give that to Jaslyn? Maybe, probably. Does she like it? No. Will it take what she's doing from her job for me? Absolutely. So what am I going to do? For $400, I can get somebody across seas from Africa that's competent, that excels in cold calling, that can work with us. Boom. So now we have that person, Jaslyn, Danny, Dawn, George, Albert. It builds up from there. But again, you have to remove what's off your plate and then build from there.
I got to be honest with you, Marques. Out of anybody that's ever told me that in the last 15 years in business, no one has ever said in that simple order, that is like gold right there. I mean, that was like get this person so that you can then make room to train other people. it's kind of like a no crap moment. Like, oh yeah, duh, that makes so much sense. But no one ever has put it to me in that particular arrangement before. Get the assistant, clear the stuff off so you can free your brain up to train other people. That is brilliant.
You know why? Because people feel we can do everything. Problem is, there's not enough time in the day for you to do everything. The human mind can do a lot of things, but it can't do everything. So once I learned that, man, it's gotten easier. And I'm so excited about this new person coming because now this person can put into calendar appointments for Danny and myself, right? I excel at what I do, but you know what? Trying to go cold call somebody? Absolutely not. But spending $400 a month to get 40 hours of cold calling by a person? Absolutely. And then they can also assist Jaslyn if she needs something, Danny if he needs something, Albert or Donovan. You know, they could be another asset for us, right? And so my team now feels, wow, I can help. Again, Dawn helps lead George, and George helps to lead Danny, and Danny helps to lead Jaslyn. And then now Jaslyn, she has somebody, and then everybody feels more ownership in the business, right? But again, if you as the owner don't have enough time or clarity or mental fortitude because you're tired to train people, they will not work out. I don't care how great they are. It's not their business. It's yours.
Yeah. So I want to go back to where you started because I've worked with VAs for a long time. I've had VA franchises. I place people. We've got VAs that work with us and amazing people that have changed the face of my business. Here's what I want our audience to be careful of. What you heard Marques say was you can get somebody to make outbound calls for $400 a month. Yes, you can. However, that's not your first hire. Like, hear me say it, guys. He started out with systems. He started out with processes. He started out with then hire the person to run the systems and the process and the administrative tasks. Like, start there. Build the foundations. Earn the right to get an OSA.
At Cradle told me if we had someone come to do that wasn't trained, that didn't have anybody to lean on, or who we want to go after, or what type of companies, or what type of industries, then it was just going to be a flop, right? Like, you don't hire somebody like that to go out do a bunch of cold calling because, again, that's not what it was. Jaslyn came in to remove things off my plate. Podcast descriptions, titles, filling out things for magazines. Like, we had reached out for a podcast, right? Over 110 people want to come on our podcast after an outreach. Over 110 people. Jaslyn and I will meet on Monday. We'll create automation email, put people's names in through our CRM. Bam, we'll hit out 110 people. People reach out to me individually. I'll schedule calls. Boom, right? That's Jaslyn not doing cold calling right now because, again, why would you do that if you don't have systems in place, right? So now the person coming in has Jaslyn, has Danny, has a CRM platform. We have a paid Slack version to communicate with each other quickly. We have ClickUp for project management software. We have all these things. So you need to have all that in place before you try to go out and blitz market. If you blitz market without the right systems in place, you will crash and burn.
Amen to that. This is a great conversation. We could run this for hours, and yet we can't. We don't have Marques forever and ever and ever. So, like,
unfortunately,
Mike, what else? What's the last question you got, or Marques? What's one last thing you want to leave the audience with, and then I'll show everybody how to get a hold of you and reach out to you. What do you want to leave us today?
Last thing, ladies and gentlemen, please remember this, right? And it's one of my favorite quotes by a famous individual. If you haven't failed, you haven't tried hard enough. Denzel Washington. Failure is part of the journey, but it's not the end all. And if you want to, this is my acronym. If you want to, in life, turn the page to the next chapter, recognize the pain and adversity, and then show gratitude and empowerment. Page. What pain have you been through to get where you are? What adversity have you had to become a person to thrive through it? What are you grateful for? What do you have in your life that you're like, I have this, I'm so grateful? It could be friends, it could be family, it could be time, it could be your health. It's whatever you want, right? And then empower. Most people never turn the page to the next chapter because they're afraid of empowering others by sharing their story. As Les Brown said, it is our job to rob the graveyard of our talents. Again, it is our job to rob the graveyard of our talents. What he meant was it's our job to share our knowledge, our experiences with the world so that when we're gone, right, as Les Brown's mentor told him, there's no success without successors. So again, ladies and gentlemen, you need to rob the graveyard of your talents by sharing your talents, your stories, who you are, to help the next generation, your team, if you're a speaker, if you're a coach, whomever, help the next people move up and to help that next generation accelerate to go where they want to go. So again, rob the graveyard of your talents.
Yeah, Les Brown's got some amazing stuff, and like I'm probably going to steal your acronym. Not going to lie, we're going to post it everywhere because that's really good. He also said the richest place in the world is the cemetery, and to your point, it's because people aren't sharing their knowledge.
Yep, they die with it. Yep, they die with it. Exactly.
Yeah. So this is how you reach out to Marques, guys. He gave us his direct line for you guys to reach out, talk to him about business. Like, we wouldn't bring people on here that we do not believe in. And Marques is one of those guys. I'm just so grateful for your time today, Marques, and just absolutely inspirational as always. Can't wait to do more with you. And anything we can do for you, man, we're always here for you too.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Marques.
Awesome. No doubt. Thanks, guys. With that, guys, we are out.